Come on. What are you waiting on?
No. Let's go. I never know. This is how I start everything I do.
Is it on recording?
Yeah.
This has been recording the whole time?
For a minute now. Welcome everybody to the Upraised Fist podcast. Upraised Fist. Yeah, and this is a podcast where we talk about pretty much anything and everything. I am 1/3 of the host on this show. ISO, EYESO, spell weird Y, I don't know, got a up afro. Those are my naps. And to my left.
Shaking my head. Shaking my head.
To my left, we got the other third of the show.
I'm Eliza.
Okay. Great intro.
Thank you.
And then to my right, we got the anchor of the show. You know what I mean? The person who brings everything home at the end of the race.
Zulu.
You got Zulu.
Talking to you from the my armchair in the living room.
Okay. This is episode 2. Hopefully you guys checked out episode 1 and enjoyed it. Quick synopsis. I am Eyez. This is our podcast where we talk about multiple topics, 3 different generations, 3 different perspectives. Me, I was born in 97, sometime around in 97, not exactly sure when. But that makes me technically Generation C, even though I don't agree with being a part of a generation, but whatever. That's when I was born.
You're Z?
C, I think is what they call
Are
it.
you a millennial?
No, I'm not a millennial. That's a huge millennials are like 30. I'm not 30. Like millennials are like 28, 27. Like,
Alright, I gotta look that up.
I'm not a millennial. I already know that. Technically, I'm C. But don't trip. Whatever.
Not C. It would be Z.
C, Z. It's all the same. It's all the bullets. It don't make no sense.
I'm Generation X.
Okay. Eliza's Generation X.
Yes.
And then.
Well, Zulu is. I was born in '43. I remember this was before the internet and before cell phones. And we had a dial-up telephone. And I remember they actually had delivered milk to our house, and it was horse-drawn. So, I was very, very young, but I still remember that.
Dang.
And so my generation, they call us builders, and I can kind of attest to that because I've been always building something ever since I can remember.
I feel that. Yeah, we had a conversation earlier how I was like, oh, I just realized we had a conversation. I was like, Eliza and Zulu were born before crack. It was a weird.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what were we watching? We were watching some TV show, and they were like, or I think Zulu, you just said, what'd you say about crack? You said something crazy about crack.
I can't remember.
No, I don't remember.
I think it was just, the bottom line, he just brought it up out of the blue.
I think that's all I said. I was born before.
But anyway, on the show, we always bring 3 topics from each one of the hosts, and we kind of just discuss and debate and fight over who right. No, not necessarily. It's all about conversation, just to develop a better understanding of different perspectives.
And we encourage everyone who listens, at the bottom of the YouTube, you can make comments, and then also just throw out your suggestion of topics that you might want us to talk about. We appreciate it.
Always appreciate interaction. So first topic today, we're gonna give that to Eliza to my left. So, what you want to talk about today, Eliza?
What I want to talk about today is, I had been thinking about this, is the idea of should parents give their children beatings or should they not give beatings? Just get everybody's thoughts on today's youth and their rearing and their training. So, I mean, I could go last.
No, actually, we'll take whoever, when you give the topic, we'll let you take it first. So what is your, what's your stance?
Well, I am pro, I am pro beating. I definitely think it is a useful tool for child rearing. Now, mind you, when I say I'm for child beating, abuse and beating are two different things.
Are they?
Yes, they are. I'm not saying to abuse your child, but what I am saying, if cause for beating is necessary at the discretion of their parent, when their parent is in sane, sober mind, yes,
Beat your kids.
Yes, I don't think that should be a discipline that is taken away from parents.
Abandoned. All right, Zulu, what's your overall stance, and then we'll get to a deeper discussion, I guess. Overall stance on child beat. Yeah, child beat.
Well, I there again, from my generation, that was a mainstay for the parents. Because we had to address our parents like I used to have to say no sir, yes sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. That's the way I addressed my parents, and there was penalty actually for not being disrespectful in that way. So, and
what kind of penalty? What did that look like?
Well, I mean, you could get reprimanded for that. I mean, spanking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was well, when you got a beating like you were saying, I mean, whatever came to hand was used. Belt, strap, twitch or witch, So I mean a switch.
Yeah.
Not a witch, but anyway, yeah. So corporal punishment, or like you're saying, a beating was a way of correcting the children. I don't know if it could have been something that was handed down through slavery or whatever.
Yeah.
We were always, being corrected and whatnot, and that's just the way it was.
So here's the question: do you agree with it or disagree with it? That's the question.
Well, I didn't have too much of a choice, but I guess it kept me on the straight and narrow. I mean, it kept me out of trouble and whatnot.
Did you beat your kids?
Not too much. I think my wife was more of a disciplinarian than I was.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I was nowhere near what my parents were to me, as far as a disciplinarian is concerned. Okay. But my children were good children, I thought.
Yeah. He died over there last night. I mean, here's what I'll say. I do think it's a necessary element to raising people. And to Eliza's point, I think there is that fine line between abuse and beating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think some parents, they just think, oh, well, I'm their parent and I hit them. It's just, it's discipline, but not always. Sometimes it's not. But I do think there has to be some type of level of guidelines and parameters. Because to say something about Zulu's generation, I think your generation was a little bit on the
abusive side.
Yeah, because
the stories I hear too.
Because because there's the element of the psychological torture. For instance, for those who don't know, from generations younger than mine, and some generations in mine, the switch thing. Did you have to go out and get a switch? They made you get the thing they were gonna hit you with?
I never had to go and get the switch. No.
Okay.
No.
Because I think stuff
but it was handy.
It was just there.
Yeah, right.
I think stuff like that, it was just that part, Adrian Peterson type mess, where it's go get the thing I'm gonna beat you with.
Yeah.
That's a bit much. But all right, so here's the question I want to throw out to you, Eliza, since you brought up the topic. Do you think there's an age range where you think it has to not, like, you should be beyond hitting your kid? Because just to put my own perspective out there, I think the reason you hit kids is because ultimately they're not able to comprehend words just yet. Mm-hmm. And like, so it's like you can tell a kid, hey, that was bad, don't do that again. But just because of their level of understanding, like, they're really not gonna grasp or fully grasp that concept. Unless you have a kid who's really intelligent and like you take the time to explain to them and then they correct it. But I think if you tell a kid not to do something the first time and they don't listen, they're clearly not grasping it, and then you're hitting them, so you're associating that bad behavior with pain. That all makes sense. But I think once you get past maybe like 10, 11, I don't think you should be hitting anymore. That's just me. But
yeah, I tend to agree with that. I would say that beatings or spankings should probably stop about at 12.
12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, just kind of where they are developmentally, like you're saying. And when you're 12, I mean, you have good understanding of right and wrong, and you can also be able to have a dialogue about what the behavior is that needs to be changed, and the parent needing to see that behavior change. And then there's other consequences that someone of that age and older can receive besides spankings per se. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm from I don't know if it's my whole generation, but I am from the generation of that. A lot, there's, you know, I guess back in the day, it's like children didn't necessarily have a voice to talk about stuff. It's like your parent says something, and what they say is it. No discussion. It's the end of it. And I tend to lean more toward now that, you know, when the child is older, to talk to a child versus not allowing them to have an opinion. You know, you let them express what they're feeling and thinking, versus just cutting them off and saying, no, what I say goes and that's it. Mm-hmm. But even though I still think that parents should have the final say.
Okay. But just not the total muffling of the child's voice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Zulu, so here's what I want to ask you. Why didn't you beat your kids? Like, in the sense of, let's say there's a scenario.
Sure was. Especially someone the daughter was.
Let me put it in this perspective, because you mentioned how your wife would hit your kids way more than you would. Like, so let's say a scenario came where your wife's like, I need you to hit these kids. Like, what do you...
She would say, I'm going to tell your father.
Okay.
And then they might get a... Martin, I think I was harder... I was harder on my son than I was on my daughter.
Okay. And that's a common, I think, thread throughout most parents. It's like, if there's a male parent...
I kind of left her up to my wife.
Alright. So you just had your son not getting beat and had your daughter getting beat all day.
No. Sonny didn't get beat all day. Like, I think everybody knows on this podcast we're related. Yeah. So whatever. My biggest thing was, all right, so Zulu has never hit me. And my mom would always say that's part of my problem, but I'll digress from that. But what I would get is my mom she would backhand me in my mouth a lot.
Jeez.
And well, I guess because I had a smart mouth or whatever. But I think the only time I remember ever getting a beating from my mom was just one time. She thought I was lying about something and I wasn't, and I got beat by a belt. I only remember getting beat one time, but I got backhanded in the mouth a lot, and I got my mouth washed out with soap as well.
See, I think the soap thing's actually kind of cool. They need to bring the soap back.
Yellow dial soap.
They need to bring yellow dial soap back.
That's why you don't like it.
Because here's my thing. I will say this. I think with a lot of kids, especially with me growing up as a younger person, as corporal punishment started to turn into abuse no matter what in any instance, right? You could tell the kids that didn't get beat, like, from the kids who did, in the sense of, like, their respectable level and, like, their ability to, like, comprehend consequences. You know
You talking about from your generation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell the kids, like, especially when I was in, like, high school and you just see these idiots just wilding out for no reason on everybody. Like, quick example, like, I remember being outside as a kid and then, like, my one neighbor's mom would come out and be like, hey, it's time to come in. And he'd be like, no, Mom! Ah! and I'll be like, yo, bro, we're gonna hang out tomorrow. Like, it's chilling.
Yeah, right.
And I could never imagine just yelling across the street at my mom, no, I ain't going in. I want to keep playing hopscotch or so. Like,
Yeah, right.
And it's like, you clearly just don't get beat. And I think there's some underlying like consequences to that, because it's like, what's it? Like, you always want to treat your kid harshly so the world doesn't. Like, I think, like, you know, if you don't beat your kids and they start doing drugs, like, what you gonna do? You ain't beat them, so they don't really know, like, physical consequences from you. They're not scared of you. So, like, you know what I'm saying? But then if you have a kid who steals candy and then, or whatever, and you beat him for doing that, or, like, doing something like at a younger age, so then they at least know what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's consequences.
Because, like, the timeout generation, they're just used to, like it's like timeout generation gets treated like how rich people get treated when they go to jail. Like, rich people are like, oh, you did this thing, you're gonna go to this jail with a bed and 3-course meals and a masseuse. It's like, this ain't a consequence. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Jail
Like,
was better than home.
yeah, for some of them, it's like, yeah. So it's like, I think that trickles down to where, like, if you're not getting treated with the, like, consequence, then there's no consequences to you at an early age to develop understanding of that. So then you just go out.
It's supposed to be corrective, something to correct of behavior.
Now, here's my last question. I'm curious. Do you think that people that don't beat their kids in some capacity, like, don't, like, love their kids enough to help them do right? Like, what do you think that is?
That they don't beat
like,
their
I
kids?
feel like if you don't hit your kid when they do wrong, it's like, to a certain degree, you don't care about them not caring about consequence. Which, in essence, to me, is like, you don't care. But I don't know what the take on that.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I just think people who don't beat their kids, they just don't believe in putting their hands on their kids. They just don't. But I don't think that's because they don't care about them or don't love them less.
I think they don't care. That's just me.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. You think that they don't care
I
about
do
their
think,
kids.
because I think it's like, because you know what it is, and I know people don't want to admit, and put it out there, I don't got no kids. Y'all both got kids. Y'all done did the thing. Or whatever. But I think it's like an element of, like, I don't want to have to put this much work in to raise my child. Like, I don't want to have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a step, because what it is like, it strains the relationship to a degree. Like, but at the same time, it's a necessary step in the sense of building that discipline and rapport between you and your child. You know, it's a hard step, but it's a necessary thing. I think some parents are like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with, like, doing that.
Yeah, they don't want to seem like a tyrant.
Yeah, or like they value more so the relationship,
more of a friend,
like being a friend and being a parent, and I think there's a little bit of a lack of care in there. Like, put it in perspective, I'm gonna put my business out there. It's the first time I got beat, I remember it. It's 4 years old. I was getting ready to go to school, so I had to learn how to take showers, right? And, you know, I asked my mom, this might get a little TMI or whatever. I had to ask my mom real quick, you know, can you pee in the shower? And my mom's like, my mom's like, so, because I'm learning to take showers. Because before I only took baths, and then you wouldn't pee in the bath because that's weird, I guess. I don't know what happened. But, so I was like, can you pee in the shower? And she's like, yeah, you know, your kid is cool, whatever, I don't care. And I don't know, the whole audience is like, yeah, but listen.
Please, y'all know y'all pee in the shower, get out of here.
But then, after learning I could pee in the showers, now mind you, this is a 4-year-old brain though. This is a 4-year-old brain. I was like, oh, you can pee in the shower. You can poop in the tub.
Whoa.
It's just a logical.
Whoa.
That's just a logical next step for a 4-year-old. All right. So
Whatever.
I did that,
Lord.
and then my mama came and beat me. They didn't even ask me. They didn't even ask me like why I did it or nothing. Just got beat. And I feel like
You remember that?
yeah, I remember that.
And it was also a very corrective measure because it never happened again. So.
Oh, man.
But I feel like, to your point, I think the one element that has to be there is you have to talk to them first, and then if it doesn't get fixed, then you hit them. I think that's a good compliment because I feel like that was
I
wrong.
still explained it to you. Don't be moving in the
You have to hit me
background.
first.
Yeah, well.
All
Yeah,
right.
this is a really a cathartic session.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, Zulu, if your kid pooped in the tub, what you doing?
What? That'd be unheard of.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like that was a good
Yeah,
conversation.
we're good. Well, yeah, I brought out a lot of good poop. No.
All right. Yeah. So that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Next topic. Zulu, I'm gonna pass the floor to you.
Okay.
What topic you want to bring to the table today?
My topic was going to be on just some observations about who we pick as look up to, say, as our black youth, say, are they mostly athletes and entertainers? And that seems to be like the norm. And what I'm getting at is that there's other leaders, let's say, within that should be revered as well, like a teacher.
Okay.
Or maybe a coach at school, or someone, even someone in your church if you're a churchgoer.
Mm.
That maybe they're not famous, but they would display enough leadership and maybe to be a mentor or
Okay.
a guide, so to speak, in coming up. But I think most of our attention is always, focused upon those are the things that they want to emulate, an athlete or an entertainer. And I feel as though all of us can't get there, and so they can't achieve that level of, say, notoriety, and there's no other areas for them to aspire to, and they could get in trouble from not having a broader perspective of people to draw from.
And so you're saying it's more so on like the black youth community is more so only aspires towards entertainers / athletes in general. It's like kind of
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would, I would say that even when I was coming up, but there was others that I thought that were worthy of some, like Cecil B. Moore.
Mm.
And some of the other ones that I mentioned, like Georgie Woods and whatnot. He was like a radio personality.
Oh, that's an entertainer still.
Yeah, still an entertainer. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but
Eliza, you want to go first, or what's your take?
I mean, I think too. It has a lot to do with those type of people in terms of athletes and celebrities is it's glamorized They make a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's promoted in the sense that, you know, they see it all the time on TV all the time. So that could be, you know, a reason. It's just glamorized. It's a more glamorous type of
They're in the spotlight.
life. They're in the spotlight, right?
Well, I mean, the argument I would make is that I don't think it's a black issue at all. Quite frankly, I think it's a fairly universal or common thing among all of us. Is that I think at younger ages we tend to look towards celebrities as these people we idolize. Because I know with the one thing you do have with black culture is I think of a lot of our historical heroes aren't prominent in like our history books or prominent in our schooling. So there's that element to where other cultures maybe could be like, oh, I want to be like John F. Kennedy, you know what I'm saying? Or I want to be like I don't know, Tesla. You know, that element is there in the sense of our education doesn't really go into like W.D. Du Bois or Frederick Douglass and individuals like that to aspire to. But in general, I think most youth people, they just look up to people who have jobs that seem cool. And even in our societal view, like we compensate that more than other things. Like for instance, you said like, why can't we look up to teachers? And it's kind of like, if you look at our world, we don't value teachers that much. They're paid,
and they're not glamorized.
And it's not glamorized. It honestly looks like a job that kind of sucks. No shade to teachers, because y'all hold down.
Much respect to all teachers.
Yeah. But you literally hold down the front lines, but it's one of those things where it's like you're holding down the front line of society, but you're like paid $30,000 a year to do it. And then on top of that, I think when you, like I said, when you look at other cultures, like it's not just black kids. Like there's a whole bunch of white kids who look at Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and they're like, oh, I want to be like that. So they're also doing that. And then even in this new era, and I know you're not super familiar with like the social media stuff, but like every 75% of women on Instagram are trying to be models. I did hand air quotes on that. Like seven, like, and that's all races, all different creeds. Like, oh, I want to be like the big lip chick. Who's the young big lip? Kylie Jenner. Oh. The Kardashian clans. I want to have a reality TV show. I think that's everybody, and I don't think it's necessary. I think sometimes we get like the rap of like, oh, all black people ever aspire to be is rappers and ball players. But no, I think all youth aspire to be like, if you're a white dude in Oklahoma, you're probably trying to pick up a guitar and be the next, I don't know, Eric Clapton. You know what I mean? I think it's everybody. I had to pick Clapton because
that's an older generation.
Yeah, all right. Well, listen, I'm a Hendrix fan. I like old stuff. I'm old. But yeah, so I mean, so do you think it's specifically still like our issue, or is kind of like we just overvalue celebrities too much in general?
I think it's still our issue in the sense that I guess I don't see maybe aspirations for some of these other areas which would be more attainable and probably more needed in our neighborhoods. Well, I mean, let me just say something like this. Let's say Obama, when he became president.
Yeah.
Did he inspire some black youth to?
For sure.
To become president, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna see them for another 20 years, but yeah.
I would think so.
Attainable. I mean,
the one thing that I'll say that's a little bit different with Obama is that he's a weird one because on a very technical level, Obama's probably the first celebrity president. In the sense of getting to this political office where it's no longer like you're just the boring, stuffy dude in the office, but you're like actually going to different TV shows and talking with people. Like he had a certain charismaticness about him, which sadly I think ultimately led to even more of the election being like a popularity contest. Like, and we've always had that because what is it? People be like, oh, which guy do you want to have a beer with? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
But then
it is a popularity contest.
Yeah, it is. And I think in the end, he kind of is a weird scenario because he's not an entertainer. He's a politician.
Right.
But he has some
celebrity status
attached to him that I don't think other presidents had, other than maybe like Reagan, because of him being just an actor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that the thing I was gonna question, and I'm curious what your point on this too is, Eliza. You were saying how you feel like there's more of a need for us to be in those different positions. That part, I think I agree with, in the sense of it's harder to get in the NBA than it is to get a degree, but maybe a larger percentage of us do actually need to have that degree for the purposes of, I guess, galvanizing our youth. I would assume is kind of like your point.
Yeah, to prosper the race. To take us to
A different level.
I mean, I think it is. I think it is happening. I mean, but well, at least with my generation, I know that was one of the largest percentage of black people attending college. I mean, I think it is happening. It's just not, I guess, advertised or out there or marketed as such, but it is happening.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't necessarily be in the same circles and stuff to see,
and I do think
the results of that.
One thing I will say is that ultimately, when it comes to as you get older, and this is for pretty much everyone, I think as you get older and you start to disconnect more from the youth, your perception of them often is through media. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, outside of me, how many other 22-year-olds do you get to interact with? You know what I'm saying? And then by the time I'm 76, 75 years old, I'm not going to know any 22-year-olds other than what I see on TV. And then what I see on TV is probably going to be a bunch of booty-shaking techno rappers or whatever is going to be popular at that time, So, and then the thing about it is whatever's on TV has to be entertaining. So the media they put out to you is going to be the most entertaining celebrity type element of youth. Or at least that's how I kind of see it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Interesting topic. And again, please message, comment, let us know kind of what your thoughts. Do you think black culture specifically, or everybody? Like, I don't know. I think it's everybody. I think everybody just wants to be popping, and they not popping. You dig?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I just think it's that glamorous life, You want
sure. Right,
a large bank account, nice home, nice car, good clothes,
Bling bling.
Yeah, Zulu bling bling.
All right.
All right, and speaking about people being popping, I wanted to bring up this topic because it's interesting because I've been working on some musical talents because I'm one of those black youth who only aspire to be popping, basically. Not really. I'm an audio engineer. I do a bunch of stuff. It can be applied to different fields. But recently I've been playing a whole bunch of piano and trying to sing and play piano. And everybody in this circle been hating on me a little bit. They've said I've improved on the playing part, but they were talking about how my singing is just trash. And I'll give it to them. My singing is It's You got a comment? You got a comment?
What is the question at hand?
I feel the hate.
What is the question?
So my question is this: how do you go about telling individuals in your let's do family circle and friend circle that the talent they're trying to develop, like that ain't it, dog? How do you do that? That's my question. Because I've seen a lot of individuals that I recently, because I work, like I said, I work in music, who like be singing and it's like I'm not close enough to you to tell you.
And nobody told them no.
Yeah, but like I could tell other people in your like orbit ain't saying nothing to you right now. It's not that you're not talented in other fields, but it's just like that one Like,
Right.
let it go.
That's
Cause
not your
I'll take the
forte.
heat. I am not a good singer.
Sure ain't.
Okay. But I feel like my piano playing's gotten better. So like my family could be like, yo, you're getting better at piano, fam. Good work. But you know what I'm saying? That singing joint. that's just singing. So I'm gonna pass it. I'm gonna go to Zulu first. Like, let's do family first, and then how do you do it with friends? Like let's say you got a homie who's 4'6" trying to ball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like scenarios like that. Like, how does that go about? What's the move?
That's a toughie. You know, especially if you don't want to. You know, you don't want to be blunt and just come out with it. But I think you'd have to probably try to devise a way that they could see it for themselves and decide for themselves.
Oh, so you just gonna set up their heartbreak?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
I mean, they say, well, I'll try something else.
So you gonna?
Or I'll go to my other thing.
So, like,
especially if they have a talent that is usable.
All right. Okay.
Try to steer them in that direction.
So I'm gonna interpolate a bit. So Zulu, so let's say it's 74. You hanging with your homies, and you know your one homie can't sing, so you're like, yo, let's go do Showtime at the Apollo. You throw him up there to get hit, like ripped with the hook and all that. Is that what
No,
you're doing?
not that hard. Not quite that hard. But
Setting them up to fail so they can see it. Dang.
no,
Dang.
Dang, you heartless. You heartless.
But that's the thing. I think that would be better than to tell them right out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Hold on.
because they decided
That's
for
really-
themselves.
That's really interesting.
So you?
They're deciding for themselves.
Oh,
This is not for
God.
me.
Oh,
This is where. my talent is.
Jesus.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, first of all, I gotta find out. Are we talking about when you're dealing with adults? Or are you talking about when you're dealing with even children?
I
too?
think children, you have to let them grow, cause like
Okay, yeah. All right.
like,
So we're talking about adults.
we're talking about, like, let's say they're coming up on adulthood. I think even when you're a teenager, you know what I'm saying, and not to kill nobody's dream, but like,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, even
that's what I'm
teenagers.
talking about.
Yeah.
but like so they're like 16, 17, and like they're like, Mama, I ain't gonna go to college. I'm gonna go be a dancer. And that boy got 2 left feet.
No, yeah,
Well, that's when you bring the strap out. Back to the other. No, I'm a joke.
No, you're not. That's cool.
I mean, I always come from, it's the manner in which you say something. You have to be truthful.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them the truth, but do it in a manner that, that is kind.
Okay, but here's the question. Let's take the scenario, the dancer boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you nicely tell somebody they can't dance? You know what I'm saying?
You have to tell them.
Have
Be
they
like-
ever seen themselves do it? I mean,
Be like, baby, dancing is not your gift. But you know what you're really good at? You're really good at painting. Whatever.
So it's a
Yeah.
substitution.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You kind of steer them in where their actual talent lies if you can do it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But the one thing I wanted to before you, what you were saying, have you ever taken lessons?
And piano?
No.
Oh.
Singing.
Oh no. That's why I'm not good at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was gonna say that might be a way of improving that.
So you would also potentially take the measure of, let me try to help foster his ability to get better, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until they
Okay.
see that maybe it's not for them.
Now, here's the thing. Would you hold that same attitude towards both family or friends, or does the attempt change based on them not being familially connected to you?
Yeah, it does change a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the
Because
change?
because we're family, you feel close enough to be that way. I would still be that way with my friends, but let's just say, for instance, I was just at something of yours, and this one rapper person, you know, I'm like, yeah, well. Like, I wouldn't necessarily go to that person and be like, yeah, that sucked or whatever, but.
It was trash.
Yeah, it was trash. No. And because I didn't know them, you know.
Well, that's a random. So let's say your friend that's in your like top 5 friend circle.
Yeah.
How does that go?
Oh, you tell them the truth still.
So it's similar to how you treat the family.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
It is about the relational piece of it.
Got you, Zulu. Your homie. Because here's the other thing that I also think about. Because the thing with music and singing, sometimes there's those like breakout people that like I'm sure old timey like Bob Dylan probably was told he can't sing. And Bob Dylan, if you're listening to this, you still can't sing. But you know, he's able to warp it into his own. But for some people, it's like you ever like I gave you an example. You see like the 5'5" basketball player. It's like
you're not going to NBA.
The likelihood.
Oh.
It's just the likelihood. It's like you're not doing it.
So you don't want to stomp on their dream. Or
but
whatever.
it's like there's a difference between. I think there's some things you can actually get really good. Like let's say you have a boxer and he sucks at fighting. There's a chance he might it might click. You know, it might click.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But if your arms are like an inch long.
No.
It's not there for you. Like you T-Rexing out here.
But I mean, you could always encourage somebody to continue to practice to get better. I mean, whether you don't think that they will get better or not, you could still encourage them to practice.
Okay. And then half the reason I brought this up, Eliza, you told me a story about a lady who tried to start a music career and put a whole bunch of money into it, and you was there at the event. And she just couldn't sing at all, a lick.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot about that story. Yeah, she was horrible.
And it was like,
I mean, horrible. And this is not one of my close friends, so I wasn't able. Yeah, I couldn't tell her. It's not like I could tell her it was crap. But it was crap. It was really. I was so embarrassed for her, actually.
You took red lesson?
Yeah, it was painful.
and then it was like a bunch of money put into it. She told me this whole story.
Oh, yeah.
A whole bunch of money put into it, production, budget.
And I'm thinking that she was horrible. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, am I being punked on this or what? It was really, really bad.
Really bad.
And it's like, what am I going to go up there and say to her? Like, oh, this is, you sound great. This is amazing. I don't even think
Did she think she was good?
Yeah, she thinks she can sing. She thinks she can sing.
And listen, as an audio engineer, you can auto tune some people up, but like if the raw material is made of doo-doo, song doo-doo, fam.
You can't
I
make
forgot
miracles.
all about that. Yeah, it was bad.
So Zulu, you just gonna set people up to get their heart broken so they can learn. Eliza, you'll let it slide if like you don't care, basically.
Yeah, but for family and close friends, I have to tell you the truth.
And see, I think I'm a bit different. I think I just be like, this isn't it. Like I can Randy Jackson some stuff, you know what I mean?
So you're saying even like, for instance, my incident with an acquaintance of mine, you would have told the truth to that person?
Yeah, and you know what? I'll put this caveat. I work in music, so like, I feel like I just, as a producer and as a person who does that, like it would be difficult for me not to be like, all right, you need this, and this to improve on, and like. Especially in the art field, it's very important. Like the artists who suck are typically the ones that don't listen to people's criticism or critique or don't ask about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're like, oh, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say it. They typically are trash. Like it's the artists who are harder on themselves than anyone else that actually really like get better. And that's why like I'm gonna be the greatest singer ever because I'm able.
Don't believe that.
Because I'm able to tell myself this is trash, fam, and you gotta do better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
But if you take it out the music sphere, I don't know. Like, cause I've never I can't imagine like a homie being trash at basketball or something that I'm not necessarily an expert at, and then being like, "Hey, you know your whole dream, dead."
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, but all right, I think we've gone through all of our topics for the episode this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were good topics too.
Yeah, solid conversation.
Covered a lot of ground.
Covered a lot of ground like grass. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
I'm a rapper. Anyway, I guess we should sign out. As always, one of the hosts, ISO, EYESO, spell it with Y, I don't know, got jacked up afro to my left.
Eliza, stay safe out there.
Stay safe, Generation Xer, and then we got the Generation Builder. Build up the confidence of the youth. Build up the confidence of the youth.
Zulu, stay strong, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Be sure to subscribe to the Black House YouTube page and follow our playlist, the Upraised Fist playlist. Upraised Fist.
All right, Upraised Fist.
Why are we so bad?
Yay.
And we'll have another episode up for you guys next Thursday, so definitely stay tuned. And we out.
Out. Peace.